I had to face 2,000 people on my first live event thanks to MTV. My heart was out of my mouth. I was carrying it. Dug, 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 dug. I used to throw up in the bathroom from stress. You're operating on survival. You're operating on fear. So same thing. Most people should be congratulated when they get divorced because they've gone through something, they tried, it didn't work. And then there's a relief that they can separate.
Why did you spend time on victimizing yourself?
All the dramas in your life are not all about you. And sometimes things are just happening. You know, एक आदमी आपको माचिस तक नहीं देगा और कोई और आपको अपने घर पे बिठा देगा.
97 was not 10 years ago. Come on, wake up. It was like 27 years ago or something. You're old, Sai. Believe that. Please.
मेरी टांग में दर्द हो रहा है. हाँ, बट किसी की टांगे ही नहीं है. हाँ, बड़ी अच्छी बात है कि मेरी टांगे हैं, लेकिन दर्द तो मुझे ही हो रहा है ना भाई.
Welcome to the Journey Within podcast with me, Shobha Rana. This is a podcast where we deep dive into the stories of self-discovery, personal growth, and transformation of our guests. Through these stories, their experiences, and their insights, we try to gain the wisdom on how to live our lives better. But before we get into today's episode, a humble request to all of you. You know, guys, in the YouTube analytics, we have found out a very interesting thing. Guys, we have found out that 80% of our viewers, that is you guys, are not our subscriber. So if you're coming to the channel, watching the content, and you really feel that it's meaningful in some manner, it is adding some value to your life, because believe you me, we take a lot of effort in bringing these conversations to you. So if you find all of this worth it, please do subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so that you stay updated. And now let's get on with today's episode. Today I've got someone who has been my inspiration in many ways. You know, he's a popular MTV host, an actor, and a comedian, and also my very good friend. Please welcome on the Journey Within podcast, the amazing, the charismatic Cyrus Sahukar. Hi, Sai. How are you?
What's happening? I have finally found a comfortable place to sit in, which is just making me very happy right now.
I just want to know, first thing first from you, who on this earth does not know where they were born? Like when I asked you this, you literally had to look up Wikipedia and say, oh, I was born in Indore. What is that?
I constantly come up with new and innovative ways to give you things to talk about. If I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have a thing to talk about. So I have to.
I mean, how cluttered are you in your head that you don't remember where you're born?
I don't know who you all are. No, of course I remember where I was born.
Yeah.
Though actually, technically, nobody really remembers where they were born. They were told by people where they were born. ऐसा पैदा होते ही खुद को नोट पैड लेके कोई अच्छा ठीक है भाई लिखने दो.
Oh my
Isn't
God.
it true? Technically.
Technically, that's true. But yeah, you of
if
course
suppose I didn't
know.
tell you which hospital you were born in, you wouldn't know.
Of course, but you were told.
Yeah.
You were raised.
But they were not very descriptive. They were like...
That's why to keep going to
they were like,
Wikipedia.
Yeah, I come from a family which likes suspense and drama. They were like, you were born somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about that then. So, you were born in Indore.
You didn't research this?
I researched this. Let's take the journey forward from there.
What was the name of the doctor standing on the left?
Who delivered me?
Who delivered me?
Come on, Sai. You don't know which city you were born. You're expecting me to know the doctor also.
Okay, I'll tell you. What do you need to know? I was born in Indore. Actually, not. My parents lived in a place called MAU, which stands for Military Headquarters of War. And I was born on the 6th of August. My mom had a cesarean, and poor thing, because I was quite a sickly baby, and because my father was in the army, they lived there, and so Dr. Jangalwala was this guy who was a Parsi doctor. He was an army doctor, and I was born there, but I barely spent any time there, and moved to Delhi.
How old were you when you moved to Delhi? And
I think I must have been about 3, because my parents got separated when I was about 3 years old, and my mother went to live with her mother, which is my grandmother, and therefore that started a whole new journey of me in the presence and growing up with 3 different generations of women. There was My house was with my Masi and my Nani and my elder sister, who is 13 years elder to me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my mom married twice, so she's from my mom's earlier marriage. And then I had my Masa and my cousins. But my home environment was primarily around women.
So how was it growing up with so much female energy to influence you that early in your life?
It was really interesting. It was a mixed bag because they were all very strong women. But they were all women going through different things in their life. My mom was trying to bring up 2 kids. There was a certain level of volatility she had with her mother. So there was a lot of drama and fighting and things like those. And I think my sister took on a lot of the responsibility because she was elder. And I just became somebody who I think I had a lot of energy, and I was a really soft, easy kid. But I just didn't know what to do with all this energy and it was beautiful growing up around women because you learn a lot. You learn.
But did
a
you
lot of
miss
aspects.
having a male influence in your life at that point?
Not at that point. I didn't know of what that means. So I think you can only start missing things when you're aware
Because
of them.
divorces were not very common back then when you were 3. It's
Not
like
like
many
now.
years.
It's like
Yeah, not like now,
Yeah.
right? We're talking of like some 35 years ago or something. or
Yeah,
more.
yeah. Absolutely. It was not common. Also, if you're growing up in Delhi, I think people viewed it very differently. It's so like stupid actually, because most people should be congratulated when they get divorced, and everybody in Delhi acts because they've gone through something. They tried, it didn't work, and then there's a relief that they can separate. And of course, in Delhi, I think there's a notion that wo divorced hain. So all that hoo-ha is to go on. I remember when I told one of my friends that my parents are divorced, he I think was sadder than both my parents or me were. And he doesn't even know them, but he went into a sadma. So I was growing up with all that madness. It was the 80s, but I never felt the need for a father or a male figure or things like those. I think I was born only as a person who was just too busy trying to figure his own life out, and I was irresponsible. Or at least my mom, I think, expected me as a kid to grow up fast and take responsibility, and I was just evading that, and so spent a lot of my time out of the house, roaming around, playing sports, hanging with my childhood friends. I was never very good at school, and through that, I think I learned that I would say not only was I not very good at school and education, but I had a genuine disdain towards the idea of it. So I remember the exact moment, I think it was in the 4th or 5th standard, where I'm like, oh, so you guys have decided what I should study. And now for the next 13 years, I'm going to have to suffer this nightmare. And what a dumb idea.
Really, you said that to your mom?
To everyone I knew. I was shocked by the concept of school. I'm like, what a dumb idea. That we have to study subjects.
What did you do to find your way out of this dumb idea then?
Nothing. I got slapped and told to go study. What am I going to do? You think I formed what? I'm Greta Thunberg. We'll not eat from today. They were like, okay, don't eat. What I did was I found, and thanks to my mom, who I think pretty early on realized that, okay, I have a love for other things. I used to sing in the school band. I used to do a lot of theatre. I had a desperate need to move from where I was, and I knew at a really young age that I need to get out of here and I had to go someplace, because this is not where I can do anything. I as much as I loved Delhi, and I was very lucky because I grew up in a time in Delhi where you could just chill and it had beautiful parks, and itna kuch nahi hua tha Delhi mein jitna ab bahut फैल गया
भी
है.
कम था actually तब.
Correct. और छोटा था ना दिल्ली, मतलब there was no Gurgaon.
अब तो पूरा NCR is Delhi only.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so my life was spent in GK2 and roaming around from one park to the other and playing heaps of sport and trying to maneuver childhood and adolescence and try to get responsible, because I was constantly told that you have nobody's looking out for you, you have to do everything on your own. So that sort of was an underlying sort of fear and always brimming in my head.
So that built a lot of pressure on you to make something out of yourself.
Oh yeah. I mean, now when I look back at it, because I'm way past all the stress and anger, but at that point, I think it was a bit too much to be telling a 10-year-old or 12-year-old all the time.
Were you angry, agitated with the world around you back then?
I was too, I think from a young age to the age of 14, my only thing was how do I keep the peace and how do I impress my mother? Because I think that that was my primary concern. And I was quite like even small things like I would eat only half my tiffin and then bring half back. Sometimes I'd steal half a patty. It was like a crow or something. Like those birds that leave food if they like you. I was always like worried about my mother. So I was always gifting my mother what I could gift.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, for example, there was a keema kulcha in St. Columbus School, which was very tasty.
Yeah.
So I would eat half and then half I would bring back for my mother. She was a school teacher. So we used to come back together approximately at the same time. So I think that she was my first person I felt, protective or worried about. And then at 14, I got super rebellious because I turned against my heroes at some level. I'm like, man, you all are too manipulative. You guys fight too much. And I don't want to be this person, blah, 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 blah. Because we had a lot of drama also in our family. So every 8-10 months, we used to get up and pack our bags and we used to go looking for homes. So I was always a little unsettled. I never felt that deep safety. And I think because of that, I created a world where I found it from the outside. And at 14, I started rebelling and I got angry. And that's when anger came in. But never the kind of anger that was violent or hyper-aggressive. It was more like, I just don't care anymore. I'd shut that stuff out. But I was a docile kid. I never had those things. And my mother was very good at sort of making sure that I was well-bred and kept quiet and blah, blah, blah. So all my rebellion was about just that I don't see the logic in something. And now I'm not going to move about it. And I started working at 14. And
what was your first job?
I think my first proper job, my mom sent me to Roshan Abbas, who had so that was lovely that she understood that I liked
your mom knew
things.
Roshan?
No, she didn't know him. He was a radio host and television host. And it was I think it was the 9th or 10th standard summer holidays. And he was doing a radio course. Yeah. And I joined that. And from there, me and a friend of mine called Sameer Kocher really got involved with anything we could do. We were like, कुछ भी कर लेंगे सर. वो माहौल बड़ा कमाल का था दिल्ली में. सब कुछ नया और exciting था. Roshan was super young, super entrepreneurial, super interesting. And he was my first employer. He had just opened, about to open in Campus, which was an events company. I did his first gig.
Really?
Yes, I was a dog.
How old were you when you did
14.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the first, I remember USL studio के बाहर हम बैठे रहते थे कि कोई काम दे दो सर. And he said,
at 14 you were like that?
I got to get out, man. You have to understand that my mom had instilled so heavily in my head that you don't have a dad, there's no business, there's no one looking out for you, that by the end of it, I forgot about you don't have a dad. And I started working on, bhai, मेरा तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला. And I was bad at education. I was not a smart kid. I was not the kind of class-topping child. I think due to the desire to escape my surroundings at home, I also, now looking back, may have had hyper energy, a little bit of ADD, just so I could block out all
of this other energy.
All this noise. So we had beautiful times with no money. There was never any money. So when there are families where there's never any money, a lot of the discussion is about how to make that money. Yeah. And you find amazing and innovative ways as a family to then have fun.
Correct.
तो गुल्लक होता था हमारा, जहाँ पे 1-1 रुपए सब डालते थे, महीने में एक बार तोड़ते थे. Usually you'd get about 260 rupees from it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then
used to have that mitti wala gulla.
Yeah.
In my home, my mom would do वो Ponds का डब्बा होता है ना, talc वाला.
Cutie cura.
जो बड़ा सा ऐसा होता है, उसमें एक ऐसे नाइफ को गैस में गरम करके you just
But फिर you खोल नहीं सकते.
slit it open. नहीं, वो खुलता नहीं था ना, वो that used to be like that used to be talcum powder, and that you can't open it like that. So she would just make this and just keep putting the money into it.
But
like,
notes also, na?
No notes, just
Only
the coins.
rupee.
उस समय में 5 रुपए के सिक्के आना शुरू हो गए थे. And my
अच्छा.
mom was really excited कि 5 रुपए के सिक्के, मतलब
So
उससे
game
पहले कभी
changer.
देखा नहीं ऐसा game changer. So my mom used to collect those 5 rupees का वो सब उसमें, but we were kids being kids, we figured out the way to widen
Chori.
that whatever
यही
thingy
तो हो रहा है ना, युवा
take the
पीढ़ी
money-
ऐसी है.
take the money out and steal from her. So yeah.
That's why
I remember
those
were
actually
good
the
luck
classic traditional gullaks
हाँ.
are bloody impossible. आप चुरा नहीं सकते
नहीं
उससे,
चुरा
तोड़ना ही
सकते.
पड़ेगा, आप पकड़े जाओगे. और मैं तो बड़ा एक्साइटेड था, कभी नानी से भी थोड़े चुरा ले रहा था यहाँ वहाँ. मुझे लग गया था कि इसमें डालना है सब कुछ, क्योंकि इट वाज डायरेक्टली लिंक्ड के महीने में एक बार वो टूटता था.
हाँ.
और डिफेंस कॉलोनी में अगर आप दिल्ली के हैं तो आका साका नाम का एक रेस्टोरेंट था.
अच्छा.
वहाँ पे स्टैंडर्ड मतलब स्वीट एंड सावर चिकन और एक कुछ वेज डिश और एक फ्राइड राइस खाते थे, मैं, मेरी बहन और मेरी मॉम.
अच्छा.
सो दैट बिकेम अ रिवॉर्ड सिस्टम इन माई हेड. आज भी अगर गुल्लक टूट जाए मुझे लगता है हम आका साका जा रहे हैं, किसी का भी टूट जाए. I'm sure Ponds has that memory for you.
Yeah,
you know,
it
like,
has
इसके
a lot
अंदर
of those
पैसे होंगे.
memories. हाँ, चुराने वाला, and we used to steal
हाँ.
from my mother all the time.
तो मुझे तो मेरी चाइल्डहुड में ये भी हो रहा था. मैं कजन्स के, सो आवर फैमिली वाज कॉन्स्टेंटली लुकिंग फॉर, वी यूज्ड टू हैव कॉन्वर्सेशंस के ओसाका नाम के एक रेस्टोरेंट में सर्विंग्स इतने बड़े हैं, तो अगर आप 2 चावल मंगवाएंगे 100 रुपए में हो जाए. तो वी वर जस्ट डिस्कसिंग स्टफ लाइक दैट बिकॉज देयर वाज नेवर एनी मनी, बट देयर वाज अमंग ऑल दिस मैडनेस एंड फाइटिंग एंड ड्रामा, देयर वाज लॉट ऑफ जॉय, लॉट ऑफ सिंपल फन विद माय कजन्स एंड माय सिस्टर. And I had very strong sort of friendships with my childhood friends who were talk to each other all the time still. And so my life was great and exciting and hyper dramatic.
From there, you landed your first job
Right.
as a
with Roshan.
14-year-old.
Yeah.
And what were you doing in that job? Hosting.
Oh no, man.
Yeah.
Hosting came a lot later.
Then?
I was a door opener. So Roshan Abbas came up with a bright idea that let me have invites which are cards. This is 1997 or 1996 if I'm right. I was about 15 or 15, and but there was no mechanism to open these doors. So he said कि 2 दरवाजों के बीच में तुम छिप जाना और एक होल होगा, जब लोग कार्ड डालेंगे ना तो दरवाजा धीरे से खींचना जैसे कि रोबोटिक लगे. तो मैं ये दरवाज़ा खोल रहा था 2 दरवाज़ों के बीच में. इसके बीच में जो दूसरे दरवाज़ा था वो मेरे दोस्त अशर फरूकी साहब खोलने वाले थे. बीच में वैलेंटाइंस डे पे था ये, तो
अच्छा.
उसकी गर्लफ्रेंड उसको फ़ोन कर लिया, वो इमोशनल हो गया, वो चला गया. तो अब आधा ही दरवाज़ा खुल सकता था और मैं वो दरवाज़ा खोल रहा था. एंड दैट वाज जेन्युइनली माय फर्स्ट इवेंट.
And how much money did you get paid for
ही
that?
वाज अ गुड पे मास्टर. उसने कुछ हजार दिए थे, तो मैं तो कहा ये क्या, आपके भी दरवाजे खोलने के लिए मैं तैयार हूँ. He was
उस
always a
जमाने
good.
में 1000 रुपए
बहुत
बहुत बड़ी
Roshan
बात
was
होती थी.
Roshan Abbas was a very nice man, a very good paymaster. When my mom told me कि तुम पढ़ाई करो, you're not going to work on this play he's doing called graffiti postcards from school. I came and told him. He gave me 3 months of advance payment and said, go listen to your mother and please come back when you finish your exams. So he was a very nice guy, very, very kind person. And from there, I just started doing Radio Rampage, which was a live radio show out of TGI. So I was just like hustling anything I could hustle in Delhi. And I was super excited because it was a time where India was changing and cable TV was coming in and people were like, ye bhi ho raha hai, ye bhi ho raha hai. And I just want to find my way around it. And did theatre with Barry John. Things were getting better. My sister got married. So now I was living with my mom and my grandmom. And I was perpetually out of the house doing things. Till MTV auditions happened.
Yeah.
And did that.
Then you shifted to Mumbai.
I won that VJ Hunt and I
Yeah.
shifted to Mumbai and I was petrified.
Then the whole life unfolded. Whole new life unfolded here. You
Yeah.
didn't have even those 2 people you had back at
No,
home. You were just
no.
alone. You were all of 18, I think,
That's
when you
right.
shifted to Mumbai.
That's
So
right.
how was
Petrified.
living in
I was petrified.
Mumbai then?
I was petrified, man. I spent the first 2-3 months. So you can be smart in your house and in your school and in your little town. And then when you come to the professional world, you realize, oh, I don't know anything. And people are really smart and sharp.
Becoming a nobody is, I think, quite petrifying.
Yeah, and it's just navigating life. You know what I mean? You don't realize the safety of your home until you leave home at a young age and start like. So it's made me very compassionate and understanding of people who leave their homes and come to a city like Mumbai, because it is different from people who live in Mumbai. They have a lot easier. They have it a lot easier. And then सबकी वही कहानी है कि कुछ पता नहीं. मेरे साथ ये हुआ था कि I'm very lucky that I came to Mumbai with a job. But I came to Mumbai with 12,000 rupees, which I had saved up from Radio Rampage. And I didn't know anything. And I used to sleep on my friend Asif's couch, who's also a VJ. And just to save up enough money, because I didn't realize when you rent a house, you also have to have down payment money. So the 50,000 was the number. And I lived in a house which is a PG from hell. मतलब ये बीच के दरवाजे को कभी बंद ही नहीं किया इन लोगों ने, तो कभी भी घुस जाते थे. And I believe it was also a bit of a prostitution racket. Aging or aged Russian prostitutes were often found in my hall when I used to come home. I don't know what the hell was going on. It was crazy. 18 was not normal for me. I was just navigating stuff, and the only reason I took that house was because it was which any other person would be like, ये deal तो थोड़ी dodgy लग रही है. They said कि PG है, but unlimited electricity and no electricity bill. We pay the electricity. मैंने कहा ये तो कमाल.
Steel deal है.
सारी बत्तियां ऑन करके सोऊंगा आज तो. And it was a small little PG. I was working in Tardeo. I used to live in Yari Road.
Yeah.
And I was trying to navigate my life in a network that was so popular. You do not have any idea how, I cannot even begin to tell you. I'm just telling you not out of any other way, but I'm telling you from an outsider. I mean, it had Malaika, it had Cyrus Brocha, it had Nikhil Chinappa, it had Maria Goretti. It was the number one news network. I mean, music television network. And then I was just like, I don't know how to do this. And then I was always funny and liked in school. So मैंने कहा ये तो फिर आसान है. And I just realized that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Because on camera, being funny or being entertaining is completely different from the 5 friends you have.
Correct.
वो say, ये तो बड़ा funny
We'll
है.
laugh at any joke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then those jokes are about you and me, na?
Yeah.
So, man, just navigating that stuff and moving on. And then my other struggler friends coming and living with me. Beautiful years. Learned a lot. And
What has this journey of being a VJ and then a host has taught you?
what has the profession taught me?
Yeah. Like what dimension of your personality did you tap into, and how did you refine it to become who you are today?
I think that it changed the way I view the world. I think I met a huge... so my teaching, I've always felt very inadequate about the fact, like I have a very high regard for education and knowledge. I really do.
Yeah.
And because I started early, I felt like, oh, mera to hua nahi. I used to go to DCAC college in Delhi.
But you used to find it a useless process when you were younger.
Yeah, because of the quality of the way I think we were taught. I don't have a problem with education. I have a problem with institutional education. You know, कि नहीं सीखोगे तो डंडे मारोगे. I still think that the idea of a 3-hour exam for a child is trauma. Yeah. It's like, bhai, I go through tough times in my life. And then I look up and I say, oh, but at least I don't have to be in school and give a Monday exam, because that was so much stress and anxiety. And I'm dead against it. I think that the idea of setting up a 3-hour exam and learning is so bad. And it's actually a British way of education, which I really think is trauma. Please find other ways to figure out if a kid can pass and fail, because the level of stress that school brings through examination is just super, super exhausting. और ये रट्टू तोतों की भी लाइफ बहुत दुखी है. आई हैव मेनी फ्रेंड्स हु आर क्लास टॉपर्स और उनकी भी लाइफ मनूस है. वो बेचारे पढ़ के अंधे हो गए.
Exactly.
And then they come out into the real world and they're like, अरे exam नहीं है.
This knowledge is of no use.
What do I do now?
Yeah.
I don't know how to navigate life. Yeah. So I was dead against that. But I've never been dead against knowledge. And so my knowledge came from learning and talking to people. And it taught me, I remember calling up my mom, because my mom was now as I've grown older, I've understood so much about my mother, my sister, my nanny, and how judgmental I was, how angry, and how, every problem that happens to you, you can only look at it from your side. And so you become the victim and of this great story that you sort of created. And as you grow older, if you're very lucky and you can step out of that narrative, then you understand कि यार ये
And you can see it from a third person's perspective, then you see that your spot is not of a victim in that story.
And I think you also realize that everybody was doing the best that they could do. And not everybody has this great wisdom. And they were also young and they were also navigating life. And maybe they should have thought. Wisdom comes with winters and comes with, retrospect में तो भाई बहुत कुछ अच्छा हो सकता था. So a lot of that anger left me. Even though at 18, when for 1 year in Mumbai, I was going through a meltdown in terms of I didn't have any identity. I didn't know who I was. I was trying to fit into a network that was super popular. I had a Cyrus Brocha, again, another name that I had to somehow build myself along.
Yeah.
I'm like, how stupid. Just because I have the same name as you, I'm supposed to have the same career. It's like, But there was a lot of pressure. And I was trying to navigate myself through that world.
And Cyrus Brocha was already big then.
Big, man. Yeah. He was Bakra.
I think 97 was Bakra and all. 96, 97 was Bakra days. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Bombay Kid, Malabar Hill.
Yeah. And Cyrus being Cyrus.
They lived a very safe life. He was very, very nice to me, but he lived a very safe life. And we were living the Yari Road, 4 लड़के एक साथ. कपड़ों का एक ढेर होता था हॉल में. मुझे याद है कि हमने किसी को चाबी दी थी. And then that person, this is a true story, who called us up and said, guys, you guys have been robbed. So we need to call the police because our house was so messy. उसको लगा कि
चोरी हो गई है.
शर्ट ऐसी जमीन पे पड़ी है ये वो कोई चोरी वोरी हुई है. बट वो हमारा एस्थेटिक्स है. So we were just we were disgusting. क्या बोलूं मैं, सुधी सचदेव, समीर कोचा, we were all living in one house.
But this all anger that you've accumulated over the years, how did it manifest into your career?
It disappeared. It disappeared because...
Did you have like two personalities? Like, you were completely a different person when you were at your job.
There was
a conflict somewhere.
There was a conflict because I think I didn't know who I was. I never met my father. Millions of people get divorced. But they keep in touch with their parents. I, on the other hand, just had no understanding of who this man was, who my grandfather was. So at 18 or 19, I said, I don't know where I'm from. I don't know my identity. And so I talked to my mother and I met my father eventually. And that really helped me figure my stuff out. But my mom, was a lady living alone in Delhi with her mother, navigating life. So she was very worried. She was an anxious lady. And she would discuss her anxieties with me. And, she would be like, Beta, the world is a very scary place. People can cheat you. You have to be very careful. You're alone. And I started realizing that, yeah, it is. But dude, people are also really nice. And I have never seen a city like Mumbai. मतलब इतने बदमाश यहाँ रहते हैं और इतने compassionate लोग यहाँ रहते हैं that it is like maybe my favorite place in the world. जितना पागल है मुझे, I saw such love and such kindness from people that I actually called my mother up at 3 a.m. from an STD booth saying, Ma, you're wrong. The world is actually on an average very nice. And people are usually very nice. And if they're screwing you over because that's their life and they just have their own dramas. And that made me very compassionate and interested. And my idea of getting cheated or screwed over by somebody also is a very karmic sort of understanding कि मैं भी कुछ कर ही रहा हूँ, कोई और भी कर ही रहा है.
Yeah, okay. बहुत जल्दी एज में you had this clear in your head that ये इसलिए हो रहा है या किसी और वजह से हो रहा है.
Absolutely. I mean, it was very clear to me. And I really think that I grew up with the kindness of strangers and it was beautiful. And that you're never alone. Even if you have nobody, you're in this world.
This very beautiful thing that Rakesh Tiwari said on my show. And he said that आप जिंदगी से जब गुजर रहे हैं ना, इतनी कश्मकश के थ्रू, आपको ये पता भी नहीं है कि आप कितने संभाले जा रहे हैं.
बिल्कुल.
And that संभालना is by strangers, You never know where this next help is coming from, where there is next opportunity coming from. It's just strangers, in a pool of your own insecurities and whatever this echo chamber of tensions and worries that you live in, there's suddenly something coming in from a stranger which is just opening a new door for you.
बिल्कुल. और मतलब हमारे देश में इतने रंगीन लोग हैं और इतने लोग हैं कि ये आपको हर कोने से मिलता है. And you're absolutely right. So even if you're alone, just go and live in the world. and some people will mess you up, some people will help you, but go live with the world, because we are all not some exclusive love like club of suffering. सबके कुछ पंगे चल रहे हैं, and so you will, you know, एक आदमी आपको माचिस तक नहीं देगा और कोई और आपको अपने घर पे बिठा देगा. अगर आप पूरी तरह खुल जाएं दुनिया के साथ, तो फिर सारे रंग के लिए तैयार हैं, तो आपको कुछ ना कुछ मिल ही जाएगा. और वो सारे रंग फॉर्मुलेटेड बॉम्बे में, मुंबई में. So I learned a lot through just meeting people. I was very privileged to have a job like MTV, because also it got me into comedy.
Okay.
And so I was constantly doing stupid things.
MTV, I think, was a birthing ground for all these new ideas, no? Kisi bhi direction mein you can go, and I think everybody who used to work at MTV, they went wherever, whatever they enjoyed. Music show, they'll be seen on a musical show. Bilkul. They enjoyed hosting, so they'll be seen hosting. Bilkul. If they like comedy, they'll be seen doing some comedy. They like reality TV, because MTV brought in the idea of reality TV also in the country.
I hosted the first roadies, dude.
Yeah.
Imagine.
You did, yeah.
उस टाइम हमें क्या पता था मारेंगे एक दूसरे को लोग. उस टाइम पे बड़ा स्वीट शो था. Okay, we will all cuddle now, and that is our season finale. Yeah, so it was just life was brimming, and you know, we were all young and talking about life and having fun and chatting and traveling, and there was a magic to it. And through that, I think I was very lucky that many people don't have that, because I had childhood friends who didn't have that opportunity to just heal and get over stuff and realize that all the dramas in your life are not all about you. Sometimes things are just happening. I think I learned the most from talking to people. Even to date, I mean, if I'm anywhere, I'm obsessed with talking to. I know what. अगर वैनिटी वैन है तो वैनिटी वैन के ड्राइवर का क्या नाम है, वो कहाँ रहता है, वो घर जाके क्या करेगा. घर जाके क्या करेगा is my question to every human being I've ever met.
What?
It's
really?
the most boring. लोग कितने क्या.
Why are you so interested in everyone?
I have no idea. As a child also, my favorite thing to do was दिल्ली के winters में I used to walk around the colony and peek into
people's
houses and wonder what they're doing.
What are you saying?
Creepy.
This is so creepy. I wonder what all you saw.
Yeah, I was.
If you're looking closely enough.
Nothing. It was not some creepy uncle. I was not like. दिखता क्या है, 5 फुट के तो हैं आप. खाना खा रहे थे लोग या टीवी देख रहे थे. लोगों की इतनी एक्साइटिंग जिंदगी है नहीं, सब वही कर रहे हैं. You know, we all think we are part of this exclusive club, but just think of the amount of things we all actually are connected to.
Yeah.
सब उठ रहे हैं, सब वॉशरूम जा रहे हैं, सब ब्रेकफास्ट खा रहे हैं, सब टीवी देख रहे हैं, सबके घर में कुछ चूचू चीची हो रहा है. You know, हर घर में एक कमरा छोटा है. So मुझे एक इंक्विजिटिवनेस थी लोगों में, तो मैं लोगों में घुस गया. मैं तो मतलब कहीं भी. So I knew everything about people. So I learned from that. The second thing I learned about life was through nature documentaries. Sorted me out. We are really lucky, dude. This generation, our generation is the luckiest, because we are so comfortable. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It's
true.
Yeah. So nature documentaries, I saw so many that I could talk like Attenborough. मतलब दिमाग खराब हो गया. Because I realized that life is just happening.
Yeah.
किसी कौवे ने अंडा दिया, 2 मिनट कौवा खाना लेने गया, कोई ईगल ने अंडा खा लिया, कोई स्क्विरल अपने अंडे कौवे के अंडों के अंदर डाल रहा है ताकि वो छिप जाए. Bizarre stuff is happening. Life is happening, and the world was here first, and it owes you nothing. And once I realized that, the victim mode in me started dying.
That's such a powerful realization, Cyrus, that the world was here first.
Pet my teddy bear.
Yeah, the world owes you nothing.
Yeah, it owes you nothing,
we
man.
feel so obliged to what this world owes us, and you know what others owe us, that we forget that in all of that worry and in all of that conflict, we could rather invest that energy into creating something of our own, because there's a space and room for everything and everyone.
Yeah, and we are all going to die. And I think once you figure this out,
that's one very cynical way of looking at life. But what to do? That's the ultimate truth. That's a very cynical way of approaching things and saying, you know, because this is the ultimate truth. This is how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
But that's the only truth as well. Yeah. How do you sort of escape that you know? How do you not factor in that into your
like in 100 years
calculations?
In 100 years, every person you and I know is not going to be here.
Yeah.
Unless किसी ने पता नहीं कोई जड़ी बूटियां खानी है और 110 तक पहुंच गया अकेले बैठ के. But on an average, every person, every musician, every actor, every memory we had is going to be gone.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's a bit of a mela. Mele mein aaye to, so I learned these things and I applied them, and I also applied that aap jahan pe hain, you have to use the rules of that world. Otherwise, you're like constantly not understanding. You know, you can't start bizarre battles in wrong places. This is the media. People are nuts. People come together. They work really hard for one job, then they leave. मुझे तो वो भी abandonment होती थी. अजीब लगता था मुझे.
कि लोग घर क्यों जा रहे हैं नौकरी के बाद?
क्यों? हम सब तो साथ थे. क्योंकि मैं तो अपने अकेले पीजी में जाता था, जिससे मुझे बहुत boredom और loneliness होती थी उस कमरे में. तो I'm like, you know, and I talked to Supriya Pathak ji about it once. जब हम दिल्ली से कर रहे थे, and she was like, we are all children who are adopted and then abandoned. क्योंकि हम एक फिल्म यूनिट होती है, एक यूनिट होती है, हम 2-3 महीने के लिए हम साथ बैठते हैं, खाना साथ खाते हैं, कहानियाँ बातें होती हैं, इतनी अच्छी दोस्ती हो जाती है. फिर हम सब बॉम्बे वापस जाते, कोई किसी से नहीं मिलता. तो आपको लगता है यार ये फैमिली कहाँ गई? We are circus children. We are like performers from one place to another.
Yeah, that's true to think of it.
Like I'll call you tomorrow and you won't even answer my call.
Oh, come on, Cyrus. Of the two of us, that's gonna do this high probability is you.
You just said lovely talking to Ashish twice.
Oh, come on, Sai.
Keep this in the edit.
Come on, Sai.
No, but ऐसा होता है.
Yeah, I know.
So I just started navigating.
I know
life.
what you mean. Yeah.
And I went through enough wasting time.
What did you waste time on?
Bro, I'm a legend at wasting time.
Yeah, tell me, no interesting stuff.
If someone's paying me to waste time, I'd be like, take my Rolex, take it. What is that? Life is easy to waste time. Hanging out, looking at the fan, chilling, watching a bird, watching mind-numbing television, video games, everything that is not good for you. But it's also
but
part and parcel of who
MTV
you
guys back in the day, because you were the first lot kind of a thing, so you enjoyed a lot of attention also from all spheres of life.
Yeah.
How was that?
Petrifying. See, मेरा तो opposite
What are you
reaction है.
saying?
मुझे तो यार, I was always apologizing.
A tall, handsome guy from Delhi has come in and
I want you to write my biography. Keep talking. I'm suddenly liking
Cyrus
this.
Sahukar
The
was
journey
born
within.
in Indore.
As he walked, the world turned.
As he walked into the
ये क्या,
city
losing
of Bombay.
interest in your voiceover. 2 seconds में आपने छोड़ दिया.
Because I'm just living your life sort of vicariously in my head of that time, because I can imagine how
It was only 10 years ago. You made it out to be like, so how was Jawaharlal Nehru in college?
But it was not like 10 years ago. 97 was not 10 years ago. Come on, wake up. It was like 27 years ago or something. You're old, Sai. Believe that. Please.
Yeah, but I was a child.
Back in the day, of course, you were a child. But yeah, I'm saying this whole world was opening up, which we didn't know. Like, people who worked in this profession, who had the access to this attention, were only actors back in the day. This TV and the cable TV and all these channels were not so much. Like, even if there was something, there were very few serials and all that. It wasn't like how MTV came in and there was a show every half an hour.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that.
No, you're
right?
absolutely right. And it was free fame.
Yeah.
अगर आप MTV के लिए काम करते थे या चैनल वी के लिए काम करते थे, it was free fame. आप भी को भी मिल जाएगा fame. आपने कुछ कमाया नहीं है, कुछ किया नहीं है. So it was like buy one get one free. But there was a lovely culture of everyone was humiliating each other.
और एक बड़ा fun तरीके का उस time पे था ना, because when I used to watch it as a kid, like I used to watch Bakra and the other shows, and you're going on road and just randomly talking. This is very fresh content.
Yeah.
There was no content like this before.
And there was no celebration of celebrity.
Yeah.
So you were really popular, but nobody cared. It's like, so I was like, I remember when the first real shot of fame was when I spoofed Simi Girewal. And Piddu the Great, and I started doing Fully Faltu, this spoof thing. And that was when, man, people were just coming up to me all the time, and it was fame-oriented. And at that point in time, even then I was just like, it meant nothing.
Yeah.
At no point did it raise my value of myself. Because I was like,
but you didn't go over in your head with all this?
No, man. I was just thinking survival. Ki, ab naukri se nahi nikalenge. And I remember I spent a lot of my 20s just trying to organize my life. I bought a house, took a home loan.
Are you one of those who bought their houses in house in 20s?
Yeah.
High five,
not
my
really,
friend.
Not great advice.
Not a great advice. Worst advice ever.
Stupid.
Please live through your 20s. Please buy those whatever
Go travel,
gadgets, go
bhai.
out, travel, do whatever the hell you want to do.
Yeah.
Don't restrict yourself to buy a house in your 20s. That's my
Yeah.
only advice to the youth.
Correct. This is all coming
Yeah.
from like मेरा कुछ नहीं होगा तो बाद में क्या करूँगा, you know, कुछ नहीं है, तो उस डर में मैं कहीं ट्रैवलिंग नहीं गया, मैं कहीं घूमा नहीं.
मैंने कुछ नहीं
आपने
खरीदने के लिए भी
20 में खरीद ली.
21 में मैंने खरीद लिया था.
Oh God.
मतलब imagine I
You're
was
the Donald Trump of Delhi.
shut up. I was like I was in my 40s when I was in my 20s. I mean,
I was in my 80s.
yeah, I was easily in my 40s and 50s.
I bought a walker for myself for my 15th birthday.
Come on.
But
But yeah, this fear
I was petrified, but did you do it out of fear?
I did it out of fear because
Why?
I didn't have a cushion. Like you had a father. Sorry,
I had an absentee father.
Yeah, you didn't have a father. You were, you came from this family where you had just your mom and you saw less money and all that. I saw less money, of course. I was in a lower middle class typical household where making ends was a task. But then my father, on the top of this, was an alcoholic. Like he's an alcoholic to this day. An amazing human being, absolutely non-violent, non-verbal in that sense and stuff. But yeah, very absent from our lives in that way.
Right.
So that gave me a lot of fear that mera kya hoga? I have no cushion to fall back on. I have to make sense out of this mess called life. I did my first job at 16, and from that I was.
What was your first job?
So I started teaching to kids in my neighborhood. Then I started going to people's places.
You were like
for home tuition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what, you were a class topper type?
I was getting like 250 rupees an hour, man.
Dude,
That was like
killing.
huge money.
So you were a kid learning while teaching?
While teaching. So the funny thing is,
respect.
I was the youngest in my school of all the students in my age. Like I was a year and a half or 2 years younger than everybody else. So when I was...
How come? You joined school early?
Yeah, early. I was 4.5 when they put me into first standard. So I was by default, younger than everyone. So the funny thing was that I passed my 12th and I was teaching kids of 10th and 11th who were just my age. Wow. And it was just so funny, but I did that.
So how was
for
that
money.
for you, man?
That was good. I had fun.
Were you having fun? Were you a happy kid?
I was having fun because I sort of had a very good relationship with this hustle. I never not liked the hustle. I liked the hustle. But later in retrospect, I realized that there was a lot of fear that came attached to that hustle.
Right.
What if not this? So any month I wouldn't have, like this tuition business is like every month you have things going on for you. Then soon enough hosting started. That also stumbled upon an opportunity and I took on it and then started with that. And then I used to make like whatever money in hosting events as well. So any month I would do lesser events. I'll be like, "Arey kya hua? Paise kam ho gaye, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya."
Bilkul.
And I was still studying. I was into college back then, right? So somehow through the 3 years of my college, my master's, I figured out that hosting is something that I want to do despite being a topper. And I was still teaching tuitions. Whatever money I was making in hosting, I taught for 5 years alongside my studies and all that.
You were living with family even then,
I was
right?
living with family, but I had so much fear of letting go. For me, this teaching kids was the secure form of income and hosting wasn't, because I knew that it's a fluctuating business. And then came a point when I had to choose between a job and this fluctuating business. I was like, dude, my heart is here. What do I do now?
Right.
Because, and it was a tough call to leave all this that you've worked for, your family has worked for, you've put in money into your education and all that. And you're like, मैं ये बनना चाहती हूँ जो किसी को पता ही नहीं है क्या होता है. What is hosting as a profession? Nobody knew back then. Today, though, it still is a legit profession, courtesy to people like you, GK, Brocha, and Roshan Abbas, and all of you all. You made it into, you gave it the light of being a legit career option.
Right. No, I know exactly what you mean. I mean,
yeah. So for me, and back then there was no social media and all of this that you would have these references, right?
But then that's amazing. So did you grow up faster because of that? So did you take the role of the? So who were you close to?
I became the mother, the provider of the house.
Right.
Because my father, although he was doing a job, a very lowly paid job, but he was sort of absent from our lives because evening he would come home and he would have his own drinking and world and all of that. So he was very absent from our lives. So I became the provider very early on. And I had 2 younger brothers. The brother who is just younger to me is not even 2 years younger to me. To think of it, I became his provider. I would get, things for him, provide for his education, go shopping for him and all of that. घर पे क्या चल रहा है? अच्छा wooden work होना है तो कितना खर्चा होना है? अच्छा 65,000 लगेंगे तो कितना जोड़ना पड़ेगा?
So you were almost like bringing yourself up.
I was, so
right.
which at that point I felt nothing, because that was the life. No, उस time नहीं पता लगता कि हम struggle कर रहे हैं या hustle कर रहे हैं, बस ये लग रहा था चलो सबकी life में कुछ ना कुछ होता है, and we were living in a similar
बिल्कुल
colony.
सही कह रहे हैं आप. And उस समय में यार प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड कि मतलब पैसे बचा लेना इज द ओनली कॉन्वर्सेशन यू हैपनिंग. और कौन सी घूमने चले जाना, फाइंड योरसेल्फ, ये तो बड़ी फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड
प्रॉब्लम्स थी ना. अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स तो रोटी कपड़ा मकान तक लिमिटेड था. So I was doing all of
also
that.
a part of a profession that for a very long period of time was regarded as, मुझे तो आज भी लोग पूछते और क्या करते हैं आप. मैंने कहा भाई सब कमाल हो गया, 20 साल से कर रहा हूँ, अभी भी आप मुझे ये पूछे आप क्या करते हैं.
I know.
So but that's amazing, that's beautiful on your part to like do that. But do you think now you're like, has it affected you maybe having kids and all, saying भाई I just brought myself up also, अब एक और responsibility मैं
I became
डरती हूँ.
So for me, since I didn't have anybody guiding me, and we are extremely nuclear family, so we had I had grandparents and all of that, but I had no connection to any one of them. So there's nobody to tell you that how to go through life. You know, you have some elderlies telling you ये होता. तो मैंने खुद के दिमाग में ही बना लिया था कि I should do this, I should save this much money, I should buy my house, I should get married by 25, 26, I should have my kids by 30, I should have my retirement planned by 30 and all that. So nobody told me this, but because I was living in so much fear of not having any financial backing and not having any emotional backing,
right,
anybody to go to, as like this, if I sort out, my life will fit into that template and it'll be good. Yeah. Only to realize that all of these stupid calculations that we do, they lead you nowhere.
It's rubbish.
Because they don't leave a room for you to really experience life, which is happening to you.
Yeah.
Because this is a plan in your head.
Yeah,
but
because
your
you're
life
operating
is not.
on survival, you're operating on fear.
Yeah.
So same thing. I became like Pablo Escobar or something. मैंने कहा घर खरीद लेते हैं, and then and I do think that if you're in your 20s, you should just spend, don't be dumb. Save a little bit obviously of what you make, but I think use that money to do and try everything you can possibly to find out who you really are and what works for you as an individual. So
I think 20s should be left for exploration.
Bilkul.
Instead of getting set into your career or into whatever life that you think is happening for you at that point, I think you should explore in every possible area.
Correct.
Figure out your friendships. See who you're calling your best friend, is he or she really your best friend? Because
Right.
at that age वो होता है ना, मेरे best friend है, मेरा emotional backing है, but you realize that people have their own different lives.
Yeah.
So
and you
have
keep
to,
hearing that, but you never believe it.
Yeah.
When people say, they're all at 20, you think like we are all going to live like this forever.
Correct.
You
So
know?
just figure out those friendships, figure out relationships, figure out your interests, your hobbies, your different areas of
That's
making money and things like that.
Yeah, I think I would also spend some time, or if I had to do it again in my 20s, I'd travel a little bit more. I would spend some more time in listening to myself and not escaping myself. क्योंकि वो भी मैंने बहुत मतलब घूमते रहो. It's very easy to do these things, you know, get not easy in terms of that, but to get a job, to do all these things, then it helps you evade yourself. And I think I would have put some effort into some spiritual work. Because
I think spirituality should be a subject taught to us in school, man.
Boss,
I
what
really
am I
think so.
wasting my time on this geography crap?
Yeah, why
I'll
are
find
they
it
not
on
teaching?
Google Map or figure it. We are out. Education is outdated, boss.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the classic way. And it's so stupid. There should be spiritual studies.
Yeah.
To help kids deal with
Behavioral studies, man.
Behavioral studies, meditation,
Yeah.
breath work. मुझे सुना दिया होता, मैं panic attacks नहीं हो रहे थे. I had to face 2,000 people on my first live event thanks to MTV. My heart was out of my mouth. I was carrying it. I used to throw up in the bathroom from stress. You know what it is? You're 19, bro. You think it's a joke? Take a mic. There was nobody in MTV who ever gave you a script.
Yeah.
Thanks to Brocha.
Yeah.
So, and they'd boss you around, bro, because you're a kid. And they'd be like, Ajao. And suddenly you're looking at 2,000 people and you don't know what to say. So you panic, your fight or flight is like, events taught me that. Because events may, everything that can possibly go wrong will go wrong.
Will go wrong.
Everything that goes wrong is your fault. Because either they will say, oh, host ने ना बोला नहीं.
Yeah.
वो mic भूल गए, वो script भूल गए. So it's helped me calm down. It's like a cold water plunge. Events में आपको समझ आता है कि whenever there's major drama, calm your nervous system down. And the only way you can do it is through micro-training yourself on a daily basis for drama. Like I think if you're really, really lucky in life, you can get to choose your dramas. Right? And then you can learn to live with them because everything is a bit of a suffering and a pain. Everything. right? So if you're very lucky, you can almost choose them. I choose to live with this person. It's going to be painful over 20 years, but it's worth it. And I can choose to have this friend circle, and I can choose to keep this dog and then walk it every day. There is some form of
events definitely is an extremely high stress environment for you as a professional.
Anybody.
And for anybody, for an event
Absolutely.
manager, it's no less. For a host, it's no less. For any other performer, it's no less. It's the same
That's
for
why if
everyone.
you notice, there's only 25 people who can bloody do it.
Yeah.
How many hosts do you know of? Like there must be 50, 60, 70 hosts, not more than that. 100, 200 hosts? What is that for a massive...
For 140 million, 1.4 billion.
So yeah, it's just a really high stress job. And I think that it taught me to calm my nervous system down, because there was always perpetually something or the other going right or wrong. So through life, and that was a good one. And that's why I realized that we have become a generation now. We are so lucky that we almost have to invent our problems so that we stay... we are going against our biological understanding of it. Every day I see some app or something invented that gives you more time for yourself. And I'm like, what am I going to do with more time for myself? Scroll Instagram and watch other people's lives, which is not even their lives.
Yeah, true.
What am I doing with my great time saving?
Right.
I think I should just go and do some work. I want to go back to... I want to reverse stuff and start doing stuff old school way. And my wife has been very useful for me in that fashion, because, so at least we grow our own vegetables. We try to do some basic things on our own. We'll keep it simple. Otherwise, you just become a lazy lump. Apart from binge watching every series, you can what are you doing with your time that you're saving it?
I think going old school and going back to your roots is a wonderful thing to do, because it gives you so much of solace. It gives you so much of freedom.
And you're doing things with your hand. You're doing things which are little physical. You're bending, you're moving. Otherwise, it's just going to become because inherently we're all lazy, right? Yeah. I mean, think about it. We spent years of research and money so that, because one guy said कि मैं ये गाड़ी का window roll नहीं करना चाहता, मुझे button दे दो. Well, why would you invent even that stupid button to like pull up and down? Just move the damn lever, bro. Yeah. But so we just inherently want to get lazier and lazier. Yeah. So I think in that situation now it's time to do some tough things. To keep yourself a little regulated for the tough
because
times.
As much as comfortable we have made our lives with these gadgets and equipment and all of this, the more and more lazy we are becoming. The physical movement is getting restricted. The more mental stress is coming because of that, because you're constantly, you have space to...
Dopamine खत्म हो चुका है भाई. And I'm constantly inadequate. मैं आज पहले पता है मैं किस चीज से खुश था? अरे आज मैंने टोस्ट नहीं जलाया, मजा आ गया. अब मैं सुबह उठता हूँ, कोई भाई साहब भाग रहे हैं 50 किलोमीटर, किसी की लाइफ डेट नाइट इतनी अच्छी है. People I've seen some people, they've never looked ugly.
Yeah.
मैंने कभी उनको बदशक्ल देखा ही नहीं. So I'm just waking up, I'm making my omelette. I'm like, you look like this all the time, bro. What's up with that?
Yeah.
So imagine what it's doing to our biological brain, which has been hardwired like hundreds of thousands of years ago. And our ancestors were being chased by woolly mammoths and stuff like that, bro. So I want to live a life now where I've come to realize that I don't want to give too much time to poor Cyrus. You know, that poor me wala vibe. Because मैंने काफी समय उस पे बिताया हुआ है. And
victim mode.
Victim mode. Yeah. Now, and I think that I want to explore Indian geniuses, so much literature and so much stuff that is in our country that is here to explore.
But why did you spend time on victimizing yourself?
Because it's easy. Because it's sort of something you can fall back on. You can end up... I know... See, first of all, the thing is that this is where it came from. I think that people... Every time you have a problem in India, someone says that, but someone else has it so much worse. I understand someone else has it so much worse, but my foot is still paining. So stop constantly saying someone else has it worse, because it's not helping my problem. मेरी टांग में दर्द हो रहा है, हाँ बट किसी के टांगे ही नहीं है. हाँ बड़ी अच्छी बात है कि मेरी टांगे हैं, लेकिन दर्द तो मुझे ही हो रहा है ना भाई. तो मेरे दर्द को पहले आप समझ लीजिए. And B, I think that everybody does that. You fall back on blaming your parents, your life, and that's not a wrong thing to do, because sometimes it's absolutely true. We were brought up by a generation that wasn't really thinking too much about how things are going to pan out for us. But there comes a point where there's nothing you can really do about it. So stop being a victim in that game. And I don't know why I fall back into it, but everybody does. It's a natural human emotion to say, poor me, from time to time.
You seek some sort of a comfort in that, no? Because
course.
everything else is out of your control.
Yeah.
So what is in your
Plus,
control
isn't it
is
lovely to just blame other people for your problems?
it's just so comforting to blame everyone
Exactly.
else
Like if
and
this
sit on your couch
podcast
and
doesn't
have
do
your
well,
ice
I'll
cream.
be like, she was very unfriendly. Quite frankly, she kept talking about that first house she bought.
Rightly so. Rightly
She
so,
gave me the
Sai,
dirty pillow.
that you were petting through the show.
And then we'll be like, it was my fault. And you'll be like, he was so grumpy, man. Kept talking about himself and his stupid
Are you
cat.
becoming a grumpy old man though, Sai?
Not at all.
You're becoming old for sure with this hat and all.
Dude, it's raining outside. I absolutely love it. I feel like I'm living under a house.
Yeah.
You know, it's safe. And it can choose how much of the world I want to see. Like now, this is me and my friend. Hello, how are you? It's like you can choose. Right now, I'm being very open to you. Hello.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I think I love caps.
Your fashion choices are also so practical now. Huh? How I can avoid the others?
Everything is
that I
thought
don't
out.
want
Dude,
to
look
be-
at these. I am in love.
You have
Whoever
like
invented
15 pockets in your
I
pants.
love pockets. Dude, whoever invented cargo pants, this person needs to be awarded, decorated. Because after COVID, during COVID, I've understood that jeans have no place in my life.
Yeah.
बेवकूफों का है. It doesn't suit our weather. चिपकते रहते हैं और कुछ काम नहीं है, कुछ ढूंढते हो तो मर
Thank
रहे हो.
you.
I don't know what you're doing with these jeans, ma'am. Because these are high.
No, I have my airy pockets here.
Look at the pockets, dude. I've got pockets everywhere. I've got a zip for my wallet. I've got back pockets. I've got back end stuff.
Literally
It's just,
15 pockets are there on
I
your
love
pants.
it.
I don't know what
I
you're
want to
doing
have
with
only pockets. Then I want to spend the whole day looking for shit.
it to fill those pockets.
I really think I could have achieved a lot if I just wasn't looking for things.
Yeah.
I am so forgetful, man. I'm supremely absent-minded.
That you are. I can see that.
Yeah. I've lost interest in what I'm saying. What else? What else? I think
Jokes
I
apart.
think as long as we can laugh about our problems, is safe.
I know.
You know?
And I'm so glad that we've come to a place in life where we can laugh about things,
I
you know.
know, man.
And
बच गए भाई.
I know.
मुझे
All
हंसी
those
ना छोड़ दे
years-
बस.
Bas, exactly. And all those years of going through all this mess and ruckus and chaos, I feel connecting the dots backwards, it's making sense in some manner.
Yeah.
There's a part of the journey that could have been, let's say, dealt in a better manner
Hell
or avoided for sure.
Way
But
easier.
ठीक है.
नहीं
But
नहीं.
ठीक है.
I'm just like, you know, everybody keeps telling you कि life you have to learn these lessons.
Yeah.
I'm like, तो बता दो भाई. ये
सिखा दो.
लंबा बेल्ट से मारने की क्या जरूरत थी? Sometimes you're like, just tell me the lesson, I'll quickly learn it. Don't
Yeah.
put me through. But then we are such human beings are just amazing.
But I feel, you know, the lessons, those are now taught. Like we were discussing earlier, that spirituality should be a subject.
That I think you should start a school.
Ah,
Spiritual learning, introspection.
I want to. I really want to have a zero period or whatever period in schools where I physically want to go and do a half an hour teaching on this. Because this is what life is going to throw you at later.
I really think so. I think that there's no subject you can teach anybody today that you can guarantee will not be outdated in 5 to 10 years. So all you can teach people is how to cope with life, how to have a certain level of creativity, compassion. Because if I read one more post about people are stupid and I need my boundaries on Instagram, I'm going to like jump out of the window because you know what I mean? Everybody's just doing that. So, and we are the luckiest people because India is just like, you walk out of your house and you'll find something interesting about it because so much has been said and written. So just like, I think it's time that people were taught to cope with life and be creative.
In the right manner, because laying the right foundation is so important, because a lot of people are learning it through Instagram, reading those posts which are sort of inspiring and motivating you. But I feel that is also going negative because it's a very pseudo learning. So the actual work is not happening, but you have learned, let's say, a quote and you're like, oh, this is how I'm going to live my life. So I think that's making you somewhere narcissistic also.
Yeah, and also these are all really easy terms to sort of
to throw around.
We've all fallen prey to the fact that you can just use these terms like you understand what they mean. It's like checking WebMD every time you get sick, na? You're like, I've got a problem. And I think that that comes from the fact that it's never been inculcated and understood. And so it's important to do a little bit of that. And then you'll be free.
Sai, what would be your 3 tips for someone to learn about these life tools that we're discussing?
I just think that, as you said, I think that please go and live life, be free and live it, man, every day, and through that you will find answers, and forgive yourself a little bit also. I think that we need to really, India में तो भाई इतना गिल्ट दे रहे हैं, सब माँ बाप दे रहे हैं, फिर ये कोई और दे रहा है, कोई और दे रहा है. So get rid of this torturous guilt and forgive yourself. Be gentle with yourself, because then you are being of some value to society and to the people around you. Because you'll also be softer and more compassionate and understanding to them. At least that's what I try to do. Everything else in life that is supposed to come to you will automatically come to you. And I think do difficult things every day. Do something that you don't like every day, so that you're micro-training yourself for life.
Do you do something like that every day that sort of pushes you out of your comfort zone?
As I said, I have just given you a great piece of advice. I don't need to follow it. That's what I love about all the people, man. All these celebrities, everybody, they're giving you so much advice. And like, the world is following 3% of the advice they dole out at best.
At best.
No,
yeah.
I don't do it every day, but I've become very aware of it. I've become aware of doing something I don't like all the time. And I've become aware of the fact that you need to train yourself for life. And I've become aware of the fact that I'm not alone, because the universe is taking care of everyone in their own little way. How it works, I have no clue, because there's no defining logic about it.
But how much of this learning about yourself more and your life more involves the journey within, like understanding of your inner world and your inner demons?
All of it. And you need to go and meet these demons and hug them and be friends with them and call them, because they're just petrified. Most of the most horrendously aggressive, angry, abusive people I met are petrified. They're just so scared, man. It's like a dog. Have you ever seen a scared dog? Have you ever seen it bite you? It's crazy, man. So I at least want to improve on my 2 million faults. Busy. And just try to do it in a compassionate inquiry of myself, so that I can be of use to other people, because otherwise I'm just going to be an angry, brutal, get it together, man, what are you whinging about kind of person.
Has there been something that you have sort of found about yourself and you've not liked, and you're like, oh, damn, I was that person?
Every day.
Yeah. But have you accepted those things? Have you what do they do, that 12 steps program in the US wherein you have to go and,
US make amends. 12 step hi hai.
Make amends with people and all that. So have you made your amends with people? Or
I haven't offended people.
Yeah.
I've just been in my own way.
Yeah.
I haven't done damage to the world as much as I've done to myself.
Yeah.
No, I want to. Okay, so I've made a lot of realizations about myself. I mean, and I've learned so much from the women in my life.
Tell me the 3 realizations that you have made about yourself.
In the last 10 minutes?
In the last few years that you have.
This anymore.
I get tired when I sit like this.
Then why can't I kick myself? Okay, some good realizations, let me think.
Not good.
Oh.
Or not bad.
Oh.
Just realization that, like, eye-opening stuff.
You've put your feet up, and now I think after this you'll be levitating only. You have to be that. You'll be like Osho.
Yeah, we're just talking about it.
I should tell you some good realizations? No, good. Not bad. Just. I think when I was in my 20s, I was so triggered that anybody if I felt hurt or pain, it used to be so overwhelming that I could bite back with all my weapons. And because I was good at speaking and because I was good at reading people, I felt I could find nasty shit to say to them. And that would somehow redeem it. And due to certain relationships and living with all the women in my life, I think that was, you don't have to bring out all your weapons because you're feeling pain and attack everybody. And sometimes it's okay, man. I think that it's okay to be a little compassionate. It doesn't show weakness. And I think that just let things go. Because the mind is a very dangerous mechanism and it keeps throwing up shit uninvited into your head. So I feel that you need to be very careful of your thoughts. because they're not even yours. They're just a machine creating them, and then you're thinking and attaching. So feelings are not necessarily facts. So I've learned to not act on them that easily, and that's been good. B is that take on. I spent a lot of my life trying to figure out how to make it easier, and that's not going to build any character.
Right.
It's just because I lived alone for 4 years, and living alone is crazy. It's dangerous because it's beautiful and you're going to love it, but it's like ye couch yahan se yahan rakhunga, and nobody cares, and so you don't take on responsibility of other things and other people, and it's all about, it becomes very comfortable for you. Sometimes you need it because you need to heal from things, but live with people, take on difficult responsibility building things, because it will build character, man. You will become better for it. You'll hate it like you hate anything everything that's difficult or
The
good.
process is always gruesome. When it's leading you towards growth, it's through a lot of uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like really irritating. So try to. So I'm also human, so I'm also evading everything I could, but I'm less of an evader of life and responsibility than I ever have been. I'm trying to be a good son. I try to be a good husband. I try to be a good friend. These things I lie in bed and think about now. Okay, how can I owe these people my life, and I got to be of some value to life. I can't just be all about stuffing peanuts down my throat and watching web series. I got to be of some use to people around me, man. कुछ तो point हो, ऐसे ही आ रहे हैं. So I'm trying, and do difficult things. Do difficult things to build character. Value add. But
Cool
you got to
stuff,
get
Sai.
away, or you can't be of that person. Like I think it was this lovely thing in Seneca, this book, where this guy said, "Where were you, man? For 3 years you disappeared from our lives." And he's like, "You don't like people anymore, or you've become so selfish. You had no time for us." And he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I spent 3 years working on myself, cleaning out stuff, so that I could be of some value to society. I only did it out of love, not out of selfishness or coldness. So now that I can be of some use to you." So I think the best thing you can do for people you love is to clean up your mess, so that they don't have to keep worrying about you.
Right. And you don't keep on projecting your own mess onto them. That is also one
ये भी dangerous है ना, baby mode.
Yeah.
Look after me, look up. No, man, sort it out so that you can be a gift to everyone around you.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. The journey starts from there.
Everyone.
That you are this person, but this quest of becoming a better version of yourself includes a few uncomfortable exercises, but it's possible.
And it's default settings, guys. We've got this implanted, whether you got it from your parents, you got it from society, life.
Or just being from this species, you've got it.
Well, it's biological learning.
Biological learning.
So if you're on this path of changing, that already is amazing. And I can guarantee, if you can't understand it, please play snakes and ladders. Because it is exactly that. On Monday morning, you're like, dude, I've really come a long way and I'm really improving myself. Boom, my relationships are killing. And then one trigger and you're back there, and then you got to go right all the way up. But if you keep going there, I think it builds character and it builds strength, and therefore you're useful and compassionate towards people who you can be of use. Otherwise, it's gonna be a difficult one.
Yeah, so beautifully said.
I only look stupid.
And
I would like to now levitate out of this room.
And wear a hat.
I'm not taking off this hat. It's fine. I think you should start wearing a hat. It's so nice.
Should I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
like wearing hats though.
You wear hats,
Yeah,
right?
I do. I like wearing hats on vacations and things like that, but not on my show.
Not on
but
your
yeah,
show.
Yeah, I do.
I'm going to turn up as a lampshade next time I come here. People will be like, what was that couch and that lamp? Where was the guest?
Yeah, I know.
मुझे तो बड़ा अच्छा लगता है. देखो, मेरे को डर लगता है, तो मुझे पसंद है कि कुछ हेलमेट. मैं तो अगली बार हेलमेट पहन के आऊंगा. मुझे क्या पता था इतना इमोशनल होगा.
You've scared you so much on this show.
Yeah, I want to do a podcast. I'll make sure I put it right under your podcast. I'm going to talk about emotionally bankrupt people and just talk about their bankruptcy.
Yeah. But were you emotionally bankrupt?
But when?
Yeah, like growing up?
No. I had too many friends and hanging out, and I was in Baba, you got 3 generations of ladies.
Ladies staying
I
with you.
cannot be emotionally bankrupt. I can be other things. But if you've grown up with women, you cannot be emotionally bankrupt. Impossible.
Yeah.
There's too much to gain from them on that front.
Their energy. Yeah.
You can be tired of it, but you cannot be bankrupt.
Yeah. So we've talked about various aspects of life, your journey and how it started, and abandonment issues and childhood issues and anger and a lot of things. And now we are almost nearing the end. And I want to ask you one question.
You smiled when you said that.
It's a smile of relief. How this is sigh of relief.
This is the
Whenever I get friends on the show, it's like this for me.
All my therapy is gone to the dogs because of you.
Why do I get my friends on the show?
This is what you did.
I shouldn't get the friends on the show.
We discussed hurt and pain and abandonment issues, and now we're almost to the end. Who does that? Who does that?
So I'm ending the pain part of whatever.
So from this agony.
I don't know. So I'm not making sense in my head. But
people are watching us on 11x.
I am.
They're like, how does he end this damn chat? I actually am not ready to leave. I have a lot of things I haven't told you about. Yesterday I raced a snail, and we haven't talked about how I felt about my failures.
Sai, can you please shut up?
What is the question?
Close the show.
How do you close the show?
I'm moving towards the closing question. Will you let me get
the other
there?
guests are far more interesting.
What I was saying, that you have lived this splendid life where you have experienced.
First of all, you constantly talk about me like I'm dying, and I'm 170 years old. Just like,
Sai, will you please shut up and
in order to look young and youthful, turn me into like.
Yeah, I'm not turning you into anything.
When you built the pyramid, Cyrus, what was the vibe? When you guys, what was Shah Jahan like?
How do I do a show with this man? It's impossible. It's madness to do a show with you.
No, but what is this? You're talking.
You're saying that you've shared about the splendid journey that has taken its own ups and downs and turns and whatever not. But out of all this, what do you make as definition of success for yourself? How do you understand success today?
Money. No, I'm just messing.
Of course that.
What is my definition of success?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a couple of thinking shots.
Yeah.
Left profile, right.
It's just
okay, what is my definition of success? Okay, one. Control over your senses or over your mind, because that is really a wonderful life to have. If you can control and be an observer of your life, boom, man. Then no matter what life throws at you, there is a certain level of understanding you can get from it. Because life is relentless. You don't know what's coming up. And if you look at it with a certain sense of joy and wonderment and compassion and also an observer, then you're not attaching. Because wealth also has a cutoff mark to joy. So that would be success. I think if people have been a good parent, a good friend, a good lover, and built some relationships on this planet, then I think that's a very successful life. Sadly, those people never get rewarded because our view of success has often been, man, he came into this city with 10 rupees and now he's got 5,000. Yeah, bro, but he chewed every 11,000 people on the way. He was a freaking dragon. And money, a certain amount of money is a good thing to have. Yeah, man, it's not a bad life. If you can have health and a decent amount of friendships and relationships, it's a very successful life. And you kind of were not just eating and consuming all day. What do you think? What do you rate my answer?
Your answer? I mean, to each his own, no? How do I get to rate your answer?
Because when I asked you, said, I don't care, I just want money.
No.
Diamonds.
For me, my idea of success is being at ease with myself.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm doing,
correct.
It has to make sense. It does not have to make sense. The arts and the commerce part of it, all of that is sort of immaterial for me.
But then you also live in the world around you, na?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
By making my needs smaller is what I figured out, that one strategy that works for me.
Okay.
I don't want to have such big fancy needs that my whole life is spent in the quest of just going after those needs. Because I have had that life where I would make my loans and my this and that.
It's crazy.
So big that I'm just making money only for that.
Yeah.
Now I've realized that being at ease with yourself is the ultimate freedom, because we keep chasing this financial freedom. If I'll have this much in my bank, I'll have financial freedom and it's everything. And then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I feel that is also ambiguous, because I have reached at that place in my life and I was like, no, this is not enough. Then another milestone, this is not enough. So what I feel today is that if you can be at ease with yourself,
You're good.
and if you can limit your needs, needs and desires, if you know where to draw that line, my perspective has changed.
Nice.
And this change and this shift has given me so much freedom.
Mine is that I can be happy in a 1-bedroom hall kitchen, but I most definitely would like a 5-bedroom.
Yeah, so liking and need is two different things.
Need तो क्या है भाई?
हाँ,
क्या
need
करें?
तो कुछ नहीं है. So my needs, so I'm very aware of my needs now. Earlier I used to feel that this is my need.
ये नहीं मिला तो मैं पागल हो जाऊंगी
हाँ, ये
रमेश.
नहीं मिला तो कैसे लाइफ चलेगी, मतलब ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता. Like that was
I remember
the life that I was leading,
We used to throw things everywhere there and used to be like, what bag do you have, Cyrus? Oh,
Come
shucks,
on,
what
Cyrus.
a
We've
cheap
never
bag.
had this conversation.
Remember you? Yeah.
We never had this conversation about
I said hi to you in a hotel room, a revolving door, and you
Yeah.
didn't even look because I was not wearing a designer
Yeah,
jacket.
I think we
You've
are
come a long
almost
way.
at the I think
Come
we're
on.
almost at the end of the show. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you, man.
Very
This was
humbly
amazing.
for coming and doing this.
This was lovely.
And sharing your story and some of the vulnerable aspects of your life. All right. If you have made it to the end of this video, that means that you have loved this conversation. So please like, comment, share, and also subscribe to the channel, because your support to the channel helps us reach a wider audience and we're able to bring out even more finer quality of content to you. Thank you so much for supporting us so far. See you in the next episode of the Journey Within podcast.